Thumbs up, thumbs down. All right, everybody? All right. So I got, and I apologize if I mispronounced someone's name. Let's see. How about Mr. Ochoa? Vigilio Ochoa. All right. Thank you, sir. That's position 22 CP 213003.
Good evening. Good evening, Judge. Aya Bader for Mr. Ochoa.
Thank you. We got theft by taking, felony criminal damage to property, 243 days without indictment. There's a $5,000 good bond. Free trial.
Yes, Judge. Position 9.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant has 29 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was April the 3rd, 2022 in Woodstock, Georgia for theft by receiving stolen property, in cruelty to animals, in fleeing or attempting to elude an officer, in obstruction of an officer, and driving while license suspended or revoked. There was no disposition for that arrest. Well, I apologize. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Cherokee County for theft by receiving stolen property. That disposition date was September the 20th, 2022, and the term is for 6 years. Didn't say what happened with the other charges, whether they were dismissed or what in a GCIC. He does have prior misdemeanor convictions. One in 2021 out of the Cobb County for disorderly conduct. One in 2020 out of Gwinnett County for giving false information to an officer. And one in 2012 out of Cobb County for simple battery. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Bader.
Yes, Judge. As you heard, Mr. Ochoa has been in custody for 243 days without indictment. Today we're asking for a UJR to his hold. He has a hold in Sandy Springs for 2 nonviolent misdemeanors. I believe it's loitering and public drunkenness. Judge, he does, in terms of the Ayala factors, he poses no significant risk of fleeing. He does have a good address at 23 Adair Drive in Marietta, Georgia. That is with his brother, who I have personally spoken to. Again, today we're just asking for UJR to the hold, so in theory he should be brought back here. And then, Judge, these are just allegations. I'm not sure that the state has enough evidence to indict the case. It is theft by shoplifting and criminal damage to property, and it has been over 8 months without indictment. He does have a job that he's interested in keeping and getting back to at Peach Paving, which is road construction. And again, we are just asking for UJR to the hold. So in theory, he should be brought back here to answer for these charges. But at this time, we're just not seeing any movement in terms of his case being indicted. And the hold is causing him trouble in terms of being screened for any potential programs. Thank you.
What says the state?
Good evening, Your Honor. Good evening, all. So the warrant I'm looking at for theft by taking, I want to make sure it's the correct warrant, is from April of 2022 for theft by taking. And
Yes.
it accused him of taking a van, not a shoplifting charge. But at any rate, the state would consent to Ms. Bader's request, a UJR to the hold with the conditions of ankle monitor and no contact with the victim.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You can have an ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle, sir. 5 South, booth 3. Stop doing your hair. Stop doing your hair. All right, you're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Stay away from 145 Northwood Drive. You said he's gonna live in Fulton County, because previously it said stay out of Fulton County. Are you gonna live in Fulton County, sir? Thumbs up or thumbs down? All right, stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. That's the absolute only reason that you come here, court or to see your lawyer. No further contact with Patino, Patino, Sanchez, Sanchez. This will be, what I'm going to go ahead and do, Ms. Badar, is 1,000 on each count and then a UJR to the hold, just in case they don't come and get him. So it'd be 1,000 per count and the UJR to the hold. So if they come get you, sir, it'll be a UJR. If they don't, it's 1,000 per count, okay? And you'll have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. If you don't get that done, that's going to be a violation of your bond conditions, and they will revoke your bond. And I've added his name to my email to Ms. Willis.
And Judge, I would just respectfully ask for it to just say the UJR to the hold, just to avoid any confusion, and the state has consented to it.
Well, it won't really confuse, but if they don't come pick him up, then he'll sit there. So that's why I have to put the amounts. And Ms. Hunter knows how to put it on there, so it'll be good.
Okay.
All right, let's see. I got Marcus Whidbey. And I put that email, I put it on there with 243 days to Ms. Willis. All right, 22 CP 213159, 238 days without indictment. As of January 31st, there is a $5,250 good bond. BGCSA possession of Schedule 1 or 2 and possession of drug-related objects. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 21 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was March the 15th, 2022 in Muskogee County, Georgia, for a probation violation. He does have prior felony convictions. It's one in 2019 out of Douglas County for a riot in a penal institution, and one in 2017 out of Cobb County for possession of methamphetamine. And there was one in 2014 out of Cobb County for burglary in the first degree. And there was one in 2011 out of Douglas County for financial transaction card fraud. And there was one in 2010 out of Douglas County for 6 counts of burglary. And he has one misdemeanor conviction that was in 2012 for simple battery and obstruction of an officer. And he does have a history of probation violations. There were 2 in 2022, 2 in 2021, 1 in 2019, and 1 in 2017. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Kennebrew.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Whidbey, as you stated, has been in custody for 238 days without an indictment. His current bond is $5,200. So he is not a candidate. Well, excuse me. He does currently have holds, and we're asking for a UJR to his Paulding County hold. He's not a candidate for the bail project because of the hold. He is 32 years of age. He's a lifelong Georgia resident. He does have a valid address in Henry County. He did graduate from high school, and he was working prior to his arrest. Just a little bit about his case movements. He was arrested in October of 2022. He had his preliminary hearing January 19th of 2023, and he is still in custody without an indictment. So again, we're asking for a UJR to the Paulding County hold. We have been working to get him assistance for SA, but we can't even do that because of the hold. So we are again requesting a UJR to his hold.
All right, Mr. Malkin.
Wow, that's a lot of priors, Your Honor. Well, all right, let's get him out of the Fulton County Jail and with a UJR to the hold with the alternative of a $5,000 bond.
All right. So it'll be 5,000 on count 1, UJR on count 2, just in case they don't come get him, and UJR to the hold. Ms. Kennebrew, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Must reside at his mother at the Stockbridge address. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. Absolutely no other reason. Although when you're going back from Paulding County, you may have to pass through Fulton County to pick up your ankle monitor. You have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. The ankle monitor will be paid for by the county. 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical appointments, and employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. Once again, sir, stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. No further contact with Dally's, Dallys, Rector, or Yasmin, Yasmine, Carlton, Carlton. 5,000 count one, UJR count two, but it'll be UJR to the hold. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lead the booth. Alfred Bridges, you can lead the booth too, Mr. Ochoa. All right, Mr. Bridges is 26, Ms. Correa, 21 CP 200514, 746 days without indictment. There is a $120,000 good bond as of February the 10th, 2022. 3 counts of burglary in the second degree. The
The defendant has 11 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was August the 23rd, 2018 in Hall County for escape. The defendant does appear to be on probation, first offender, in Fulton County for aggravated battery. That case number is 14 SC 125877. That disposition date was June the 9th, 2014, and the term is for 13 years. He does have a prior felony conviction that was in 2019 out of Hall County for escape. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Correa.
Thank you, Your Honor. So Mr. Bridges has now been in custody for 2 years and 16 days. This is not a situation where these charges arose from his incarceration on another case. He has been in custody for those for the entire 746 days on these 3 burglary charges. Other cases have come and gone. He has been able to resolve an interference with government property case that arose during the course of this pending burglary case. We've been able to dismiss another jail incident case, but yet 746 days later, these 3 burglary charges are still sitting here with a $120,000 bond with absolutely no movement by the state. We've had a preliminary hearing on this. Some of these burglaries have allegedly occurred on video, so I am not quite sure what we are waiting for at this point. Mr. Bridges is unsure what we're waiting for at this point. But at this stage, he has now spent over 2 years of his life in custody on a case that has yet to be indicted. We are absolutely asserting his right to a speedy trial at this point. I'm putting the state on notice to expect the appropriate motions related to that to come forward. And I'm asking for the bond on this case to be reduced to a $25 bond on each count for a total of a for $75. So that way our social workers can get Mr. Bridges connected with programs on the outside, because after 746 days, he has lost any employment in any housing he had when he went in when he was 24 years old. He is now 26. He is about to turn 27 this July. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Is he going to live in Fulton County?
Yes, through whatever housing program we find for him.
Gotcha. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state requests a $70,000 total bond. Thank you.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1553 Jonesboro Road Southeast. That's the Jonesboro Food Mart. Stay away from 184 McDonald Boulevard Northeast. That's the Lakewood Food Mart. Stay away from 1297 Jonesboro Road Southeast. That's Community Grounds Coffee Shop. They're all located in the city of Atlanta. Let's see, I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, or employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. Also, no further contact with Salim, S-A-L-I-M, last name B-U-D-H-W-A-N-I. No further contact with A-L-E-M-S-E-G-E-D, last name T-S-I-G-E-L-E-M-A. No further contact with Casey Akins, K-A-C-I Akins, A-K-I-N-S, or Justin Hagen, H-A-G-E-N. 15,000 per count. No, make that 10,000 per count. That ankle monitor is going to be paid for by the county. Sir, if you have any holds, you're going to have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle. Just added his name to my list. Best of luck to you, sir.
Red, bold, 120 font, please.
Right.
Thank
I
you.
got it. I got that. And it's in red. Danny Gentry. Danny Gentry. Wave your hand if you're Danny Gentry. There you go. All right. 372 days without indictment. 22 CP 209479. Got criminal damage property, second degree, possession of tools for a crime, willful obstruction, misdemeanor, criminal trespass, theft by taking. $2,500 split bond with some going through pretrial as of 9/27/2022. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 11 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was November 1st, 2013, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for criminal trespassing. There's no disposition for that arrest. He does have prior felony convictions. There's one in 1998 out of Missouri for possession of controlled substance with the intent to distribute, and one in 1993 out of Mississippi for possession of cocaine. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Gentry is 64 years old. He's lived in Georgia for the last 23 years. His address is the same address it's been the entire time he's lived in Georgia. The address on file has been his good address for 23 years. He has 6 grown children and 13 grandchildren. He has an 11th grade education. He's unemployed primarily due to the amount of time he's been in custody. At this time, Your Honor, he's been in custody for 398 days. Or sorry, 372 days. I did my math wrong there. 372 days. Based on the information presented, this is a criminal damage to property. In the second charge, it's been at a $2,500 good bond for the last 9 months, and he hasn't been able to afford that. I'm asking the court to set a signature bond in this case.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
No objection to the UJR, Your Honor.
So we'll take them, well, they all went, before they went through pretrial.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I would have no objection to just every charge having a signature bond through pretrial with, supervision from pretrial at this point.
All
We
right,
don't object to that.
no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from MB Transportation at 610 Bronner's Brother Way, BRONNERS. He's still going to reside at Belmont Avenue? Yes,
Your Honor.
All right, he must reside at Belmont Avenue, 1463 in Atlanta, Georgia, 30310. All charges will be UJR through pretrial level 1 with an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, place of employment, schedule, exact location you'll be working. Also, basic life necessities there, Ms. Hunter, on all of those, please. Best of luck to you, sir. You leave the booth. All right, Demarius Harris. All right, let's see, 341 days without indictment. There's a $11,000 good bond as of October the 6th, 2022. 22 CP 210335. Once again, 341 days without indictment. Terroristic threats, disorderly conduct, willful obstruction, misdemeanor.
The defendant has 20 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was May the 19th, 2022, with the MARTA Police Department for possession of marijuana less than an ounce. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for possession of Schedule 1 or 2 controlled substance with the intent to distribute and Terroristic Threats Act, and possession of Schedule 3, 4, or 5 with the intent to distribute. That case number is 20 SC 175853. That disposition date was February the 22nd, 2023, and the term is for 1 year. The defendant did receive first offender treatment in 2016 for robbery. That case was sealed October the 27th, 2022. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Harris is 31 years old, born and raised here in Georgia, should be living at the Joseph E. Lowry Boulevard address. It should be present on his booking sheet. He has 7 children. He completed the 11th grade at Frederick Douglass High School. At the time of his arrest, he was working in construction, but as Your Honor pointed out, he's been in custody almost a year, so we don't know if that job is still waiting for him. We're hopeful, but we don't have confirmation on that. Based on the information presented, the nature of his history, also the nature of these charges, I'm asking the court to consider a signature bond where applicable. I believe on the disorderly and the willful obstruction that he would be eligible for a signature bond. I would ask the court to consider UJR on those and 2,500 on the terroristic threats.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
Your Honor, the state would request a $5,000 total bond. Stay away from MARTA.
All right. 2,000, count 1. 1,000, 1,000, and 1,000. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all MARTA properties, buses, bus stops. Can't sit down at a bus stop and tie your shoes, sir. You have to walk past that and sit down on the curb. Stay away from 30 Alabama Street. You have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. Also, that includes basic life necessities there. Ms. Hunter's going to put that in there for all of that. So $5,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave.
Your Honor, I apologize. Quick question. You said 2, 1, 1, and 1. There's only 3 charges.
What do I have the willful? Oh, was one which one was dismissed before?
There's
Right.
only 3 shown on the calendar, Your Honor. The willful obstruction just takes up 2 lines.
But I've got a disorderly conduct. What happened to that one?
That's the middle charge on the calendar.
And I got terroristic threats, possession of MDMA.
There's no possession of MDMA on the calendar, Your Honor.
That one, I was on the previous bond order. Hold on. Why was that on?
Jail says he has no bond for simple battery and no bond for obstructing.
Yeah, and Your Honor, the possession of MDMA was declined to prosecute October 19th, 2022.
Okay,
Oh.
gotcha. I missed that. All right, so
And I
2,000.
noticed that too, ADM Malkin. I wasn't quite sure what that was. There's a simple battery and an obstructing charge from March 17th, but there's no warrants in the system, no jail incident report, nothing that would indicate where those came from.
Yeah, and I've got a note written there. I'm not real sure where that goes either. So I think I wrote over top of that. So got 2,000, 1,000, 1,000. So it's 4,000 total. Just let me know if y'all got it, if you figured out. Okay. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, Benicia Ray. Miss Ray. Benicia, oh, sorry, Miss Benicia Johnson, sorry. All right, you can leave the booth, sir. All right, we got 23 CP 216494, Benicia Renee Johnson. 96 days without indictment. Looks like pretrial came off of these. There was a bond surrender, driving, fleeing, attempting to elude, fatal by a stop sign, possession of marijuana less than announced. 96 days, Miss Pinto. Pretrial.
The defendant has 4 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was May the 4th, 2018 in Gwinnett County for a probation violation. The defendant received first offender treatment for a misdemeanor in 2014 out of Gwinnett County for forgery in the 4th degree. That case was sealed July the 6th, 2017. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Miss Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Yes, Ms. Johnson's been incarcerated 96 days with no bond and no indictment. She was arrested March 3rd on a case that then got dismissed at the preliminary hearing on May 2nd. But pretrial came off of her bond on this case because of the new arrest. So she's been sitting no bonded due to pretrial coming off the bond, as stated, for over 90 days. She's 28 years old. She's lived in Atlanta her entire life. If released, she will reside at the address on file with her mother. Her whole family is here in Georgia. She graduated from Alonzo Krim High School in 2014. And at the time of her arrest, she was working at a temp service. She'd been there about 6 months. She has no failures to appear, no violations of probation, and no felony convictions. Of course, she's entitled to a bond, Judge. We would ask the court to return her on an unsecured judicial release, either through the jail or pretrial if they'll have her, or in the alternative, bond not to exceed 2,000, 1,000 on the felony and 500 on each misdemeanor.
All right,
Thank you,
Mr.
Judge.
Falcon.
Thank you. The state would consent to that request from Ms. Pinto.
1,000 count 1, the other 2 UJR through, I don't know, pretrial if they'll take him back. Do y'all take him back, Miss Jackson?
This is your courtroom, Your Honor.
Use that means no. All right, 1,000 on count 1, the other 2 through the jail. Let's see, that was, went 60 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. Ma'am, slow it down. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Tell you what, we'll put an ankle monitor on you. We'll make it for 6 months, Miss Pinto. at least for 6 months if there's no messing up. 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you're going to be working. You have to supply that to Ms. Pinto and to the ankle monitoring company. So that'll be, let's see, what's this? So she can get it off December the 6th if there's no infractions. Best of luck to you, ma'am. What about Ashley Chavis?
I'm sorry, Judge, could you say those curfew exceptions one more time?
Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life necessities. 23 CP 216671, 96 days without indictment, no bond as of March the 3rd, willful obstruction, felony, simple battery against a peace officer. Free. Rah.
The defendant has 12 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was February the 20th, 2023 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does have misdemeanor convictions out of Florida. One in 2017 for criminal trespassing, and another one in 2017 out of Florida for battery, family violence. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. This is Ms. Chavez, correct? Position 25?
Yes, ma'am.
She's been incarcerated 96 days with no bond, no indictment, and no preliminary hearing. She is 30 years old. She's lived in Georgia for 5 years. She is from Florida originally. She was unfortunately homeless at the time of arrest. However, my social worker is working on getting her into a program. She actually has an interview with Women on the Rise this week, and they'll be able to assist her with housing and any mental health or substance abuse services that might be needed. She does have 2 children, ages 9 and 3. They live with her aunt at the moment. She has no felony convictions, Judge. She's not on probation. She's of course entitled to a bond. However, we need it to be one that is reasonable for someone in her financial position. So we're asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000 total.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
They request a $15,000 total bond for her.
All right, let's see. 10,000 count 1, 5,000 count 2. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 25 Peachtree Center Avenue. Now, I had before, is she going to go back and live in Forest Park?
Not to my knowledge, Judge.
Are you going to live in Forest Park, ma'am, or thumbs up or thumbs down?
We're trying to get her into a program.
Ma'am, are you going to live in Fulton County? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Or an I don't know. I don't know. How about I don't know? Anything out of you, ma'am. I don't know. Yeah. Something. No, I don't, anything. Shake your head.
I think
do
the
something.
shrug is, I don't know.
Okay.
Judge.
All right. I barely can see a shrug. All right. No further contact with Ashley Chancey unless in the official capacity. No further contact with Officer Greer. You're going to have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're also going to be working, and basic life skills, and participate in any program that Ms. Pinto gets you into. 10,000 count 1, 5,000 count 2. Best of luck to you, ma'am. You can leave the booth. Bye.
Judge, that concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thanks, ACDC. We'll come back to you. So now I've got, let's see. Miss. So, Mr. Osby, yours is reset. So they can get a conflict attorney so you can leave the booth. Oh no, Miss Rondon, right? You want it reset for 2 weeks? Or
For this Thursday, the
Okay.
8th.
you think we'll get it on there? Sorry. Let's see, what does Thursday look like?
I think, Miss Robinson, you said that we were able to do that.
It's not too bad. It's 28.
Yes, and I asked Lieutenant Coughlin and he said it would be okay.
All right, we'll see you on Thursday, sir.
And Your Honor, I was only here for Mr. Osby's case. May I be excused as well?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
All right, let's see. Now I got Alden White. All right. Yeah, 23 CP 216622, 99 days without indictment. Possession of tools for a crime and criminal trespass. As of May 1st, there's a $5,000 good bond. March the 1st. Pre-trial.
Sorry, got a little thrown off. I was following the,
Yeah, oh, yeah, we had to
schedule that you
skip,
sent
yeah,
me.
we had to skip ACDC and go down to the rest of them.
okay. The defendant has 30 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was September the 22nd, 2020 at a College Park, Georgia for a DUI. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does appear to have an outstanding hold out of Charleston, Missouri for a failure to appear. The date on that warrant was March the 18th, 2021. He does have prior felony convictions, one in 2018 out of Missouri for possession of controlled substance, and one in 2010 for cruelty to children in the third degree, and one in 1998 for possession of controlled substance. And he does have misdemeanor sentence. In 2015, he received a nolo contendere sentence for criminal trespassing. In 2012, there was a conviction for simple battery. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Your Honor, my client is 46 years old, Your Honor. He also is a lifelong resident. He resides in Fulton County, Your Honor. He does have 12 children, Your Honor. 2 of them actually was staying prior to his incarceration, was staying with Mr. White, Your Honor. He does have a high school diploma as far as education, and as well as he does have his associates in business management. He also has a certification in forklift, demolition, and remodeling. Prior to incarceration, he was doing remodeling of houses for halfway houses and senior citizens, Your Honor, as well as he was volunteering in Fulton County with the cleanup initiative to help clean up abandoned properties. He's also a caretaker for his aunt who is disabled, Your Honor. That her name is Miss Joyce Taylor, Your Honor. That gives him his ties to his jurisdiction, and part of the reason why he would not flee from our jurisdiction, Your Honor. Speaking of which, that FTA, Your Honor, he was actually in custody. That is the reason why he missed his the only FTA that was mentioned, that he was in custody, so he didn't willfully or intentionally miss a court date, Your Honor. With that being stated, Your Honor, I represent him on another matter, Your Honor, and he does have a holdout of College Park. What I'm asking is that both of these cases to be converted to a UJR, Your Honor, since they are both accusing at this time. They both are accusable, but they have not been accused in 99 days, Your Honor. And so what I would be asking is for a UJR so that he can be able to go through the bail project on his other matter, Your Honor.
I just have one case.
Yes, Your Honor, his other case is indicted.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
The state is opposed to a UJR based on his large number of priors and requests a $3,000 bond.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1442 Metropolitan Parkway in Atlanta, Georgia, and all Atlanta public school properties. You can have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, life necessities. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. $1,200 per count. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Let's see.
That concludes my matter. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Michael, let's see. Robert Davis. Nope, hold on. Maybe I
He
didn't
is
go.
at ACDC, Your Honor, and I don't see him yet.
Yeah, maybe I didn't go down far enough here. Hold on. About Michael Lowe. Michael Lowe. What about John Graham?
Judge, they sent a chat saying that Mr. Graham had been transported to Grady
All right.
Hospital. That was in the chat for Mr. Graham.
Miss Kennebrew? She go? She leave?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm still here. I'm aware that he has a seizure. Well, he has seizures, excuse me. So I believe that could be what potentially happened.
So what I will do is just place him back on a subsequent calendar
Please.
unless the jail informs me of something sooner.
Yeah, and I'll
Okay.
check in tomorrow to see if I can see him.
All right, Marquise Walker, or Marquez Walker, Marquarius Walker, sorry. All right, there's two cases here, Mr. Mr. Poole. All right, 21 CP 204695, 236 days without indictment. There's a $3,000 good bond as of January the 25th, 2023 on VGCSA conspiracy to violate the Georgia Controlled Substance Act and possession of cocaine. Position 8, 21 CP 204699, 236 days without indictment, possession, distribution, manufacture, sale of marijuana, and sale of methamphetamine. There's a $2,000 good bond as of January the 25th. Rob.
Defendant has 19 cycles. The last arrest was September the 22nd, 2021 in Fulton County for 2 counts of obstruction of an officer. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does have prior felony convictions and a sentence. It's one in 2008 for 2 counts of aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during commission of a felony, and 2 counts of robbery. Plus an additional felony conviction in 2008 for possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute. And he received first offender treatment in 2006 for theft by taking. That case was sealed July the 6th, 2017. And he has misdemeanor convictions, one in 2018 out of DeKalb County for battery. And he has a history of probation violations. There was 1 in 2020 and 2 in 2019. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Walker's been in 522 days. I wanted to ask the court to consider a UJR bond since this case has not been indicted. He's 35 years old. He was born and raised in Atlanta. And I understand that bond amounts are low, but again, I wanted the court to consider that request. As far as his indicted case, he does have a bond for the indicted case. And once these cases get indicted, the plan is to try to work them all out at the same time. And nothing further, Judge.
Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
Based on the number of priors that Mr. Walker has, the state would request that the bond amounts remain the same. Thank you.
All right, let's see. On position 7, can't make it too much, $750 a piece per count. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 333 Angier Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. You have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment, and basic life skills. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. Position 8 ending in 4699. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 600 Boulevard, Northeast Atlanta, Georgia. Ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer.
Judge, is I'm sorry, is he still in the booth?
Mr. Walker. Well, I guess he left. He's not impressed. What do you want me to do, Mr. Poole? He decided he'd get up and walk out. This is why it's so hard to control these booths at night, because people want to do what they want to do.
Judge, I've talked with him several times. I mean, I would just ask the court to, if the court is okay, to just go ahead and, issue a bond order for position number 8, and I will tell him at the jail or send him a letter.
This is how hard it is to control. This is why they don't play with their hair and do other things and pay attention. So
I'd say he's waived his hearing and state would request that it remain the same.
So on the other one, I'll leave it at 1,000. I'll deny it on the other one. 1,000 on each count, same exact conditions. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment. Stay away from 600 Boulevard Northeast. Best of luck to him. It's not your fault, Mr. Poole. But this is why nobody has the secret yet on how to control the booths and the people and what they do in the booths. But I guess somebody thinks they can do it better than I can. I don't know. It's hard.
Thank you.
Not you.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. Let's see.
And Mr. Poole.
Michael Lowe. Yes, sir. Michael Lowe. All right, Mr. Lowe. Let's see, I've already added this to my list. I added that one to my list, Mr. Poole, if he didn't hear. All right, 22 CP 207639, Michael Lowe, 441 days without indictment. There's a $7,500 good bond as of July the 7th, 2022 on aggravated assault, family violence. Pre-trial.
Defendant has 13 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was June the 28th, 2013 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for a failure to appear. The defendant does have prior felony convictions, one in 1976 for burglary and one in 1972 for the violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor, one moment, I apologize. Your Honor, Mr. Lowe is 75 years old. He's a lifelong resident of Georgia. He's lived in Atlanta his entire life, grew up near Pine City, still lives at the address on his booking report in Conyers, Georgia. He lives with several family members. At the time of his arrest, he was retired. He was collecting SSI. He had retired from being a vendor, which he had worked that job for 40 years until the time of his retirement. At this time, Your Honor, as you mentioned, he's been in custody for over 400 days on these charges, waiting to be heard, waiting to receive a bond that he can't afford at this time, based on the fact that this case has still not been indicted, even after having the preliminary hearing in this case. Double check back in August of last year, where probable cause was found. Not sure why this case still has not been indicted. I'm asking the court for a $1,000 bond. It's the minimum a bonding company will help him out with.
Go ahead, Mr. Malkin.
All right. He has a different place to stay than where he was. Is that correct?
Other than Wadley Street?
Yes, Your Honor, that is not his address. His
Okay.
address is the Bayleaf Drive address in Conyers.
Thank you, Ms. Long. The state would consent to the request. Stay away, no contact.
No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 37 Wadley Street. Does he still need to go back one time with law enforcement, or I assume after this long, all his stuff may be gone?
Just in case, can we put it on there, Your Honor?
Right.
And if
Sure,
there is
what-
anything there, but
All right, return one time with law enforcement to get your belongings. Provide that address in Conyers where you're going to be living, going to have ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment, as long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, the exact location you're going to be working. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're for court or to see your lawyer. No further contact with Elbert Drayton, Drayton. $1,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, let's see. Keith Oliver.
He's at ACDC.
I'm trying to figure out who this is in here. Oh, is that Ishmael Morello? Sir, your case has been reset. Okay, because your lawyer filed a motion and she's got to hear back from that motion before we can hear your case, okay? Yes, sir. You can call Miss Collins. Thank you, sir. All right, then, Ms. Gowdy. Ms. Gowdy, are your motions the same thing again?
Yes, Judge, but one of them I did file a motion to withdraw. That was Quentin Anderson. I withdrew the motion. But the other two are just motions to remove pretrial, Your Honor.
And let's see, start with, let's see. So you withdrew Quentin Anderson, so T. Gordon. Where's T. Gordon?
I'm gonna waive her presence, Your Honor, because she had to pick up her daughter from daycare.
All right.
Judge, and there may be someone in the waiting room, but she just has her first name displayed. She doesn't have a full name. It says T, so.
Oh, that might be her.
Do you want me to admit her?
Yeah, I just did. 3 years on Zoom, Miss Gowdy, 3 years on Zoom, right? We're still struggling. Have all of them been on there over 4 months or what have you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Let's see, Ms. Gordon. Now she doesn't have audio, so I guess you'll waive it anyway. She doesn't have audio. Go ahead, Ms. Gowdy.
So yes, Your Honor, for the court is Ms. Gordon. She's been on pretrial since July of 2022, Your Honor. I spoke to her pretrial officer, Mr. Romanoff, today, who said that he attempted to close her case out, but due to the nature of the charges, Your Honor, the case was not closed out. She's being charged with cruelty in the second degree, Your Honor. The allegation is that she left her baby in the car while she was at work, Your Honor. And I think due to the circumstances, it doesn't appear that she was attempting to be neglectful of the child. Unfortunately, she just didn't have childcare at that time, Your Honor. And she was working night shift, Judge. And so I think considering the circumstances, that is why the first appearance judge granted her a UGR through pretrial level 2. She's been compliant with pretrial ever since her being placed on pretrial back in July of 2022, Your Honor. And so we're simply just asking the court for her to not have to report anymore, Judge.
Mr. Malcolm?
The state would be opposed, Your Honor, based on the nature of the offense. As Ms. Gowdy said, she's accused of leaving her 2-year-old son in her car overnight while she was at work. So based on the nature of the charge, the state would be opposed to the motion.
Was the child in the car overnight?
That's what it says in the warrant.
So based on my understanding of the police report, Your Honor, it doesn't appear that the baby actually was in the car the entirety of the night. I think someone discovered the baby within 30 minutes of an hour of her actually clocking into her shift, Judge.
So, let's see. So I know they're gonna want to kick them off. What if we trade off an ankle monitor for that so we can keep up with her?
I mean, if you're gonna trade an ankle monitor, I'd rather her stay on pretrial then.
You know, if they're gonna kick, how about we do that and do it for 6 months? Ms.
So,
Gowdy,
Your Honor, if you're gonna place an ankle monitor, I will withdraw my motion.
is there a defects case open?
No, Judge.
Ms. Gowdy, come back in. Let's how about, wait, what is this? Let's reset this for the first part of August and then we'll take it off then. There hasn't been any infractions. How about that?
Sounds good, Judge. Thank you.
All right. So is there a date in August that you're on vacation or anything?
No, I'll be here the entire month of August, Judge.
All right. Ms. Robinson, put this on in August, and if there hasn't been any violations, we'll do it then. How about that, Ms. Gowdy?
Yes,
No-
ma'am. I'll put it
No
back on.
defects case, right?
Not to my understanding, Judge.
All right, Ms. Gordon, I'll see you back in August, okay? Thank you, ma'am. All right, what about Juan McCune? Or McCune?
He's also present on the Zoom call, Judge. He's been on since March of 2022. It's a nonviolent offense. I'm just assuming it fell through the cracks, Judge. It's financial transaction card theft, carry a concealed weapon, brake light violation, Judge. So I'm not really sure why he wasn't taken off a pretrial, Your Honor.
Yeah, and how'd they get that on a pretrial when there was a weapon in there?
So the weapon was a straight bond, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Mr. Malcolm been on there since 2022.
No objection.
All right, remove that. Just shoot me that order, Ms. Gowdy.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
And was there a reason you took the other one off? Did it come out or you just said?
Oh, so I reviewed the motion, Your Honor, and it appears that the motion had already been previously granted last year.
Oh, okay. Did the order get done?
The order was done.
Okay. All right. Looks like that's all right. We're not just waiting on ACDC unless you have anything else. Thank you, Ms. Gowdy.
And Mr. McCune, I'll go ahead and call you, okay?
You can go ahead and leave, Mr. McEwen. All right, we're just waiting on ACDC. And it looks like it's, man. Maybe they'll hurry up before it becomes a storm out here. It's thundering.
Hey, Judge, how many more with ACD?
4.
ACDC?
Just 4. Just 4. I got this down to a science, Ms. Mapper Collins.
Okay, all right. I'm not challenging you.
I got this down to a science. After what, a little over a year, we finally got it down. Nobody wants to work late at night.
Okay.
Of course, I've
I'm
already
there
done a bunch of work prior to the hearing, but you know.
Hey, I've been working since 6 this morning.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks to one of our very nice senior judges.
That's a long day.
That is.
Yep.
All right, let's see. Keith Oliver. All right. We got 23 CP 215881, 194 days without indictment. There's a $5,000 good bond as of March the 2nd on criminal trespass, theft by taking. Then 23 CP 215883, Keith Oliver, 194 days without indictment, $2,000 good bond as of March the 2nd, 2023 on theft by taking. Wow.
The defendant has 44 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was September the 9th, 2021 in Fulton County for a probation violation. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. Sorry, excuse me. There was one in 2020 out of Cobb County for burglary in the second degree. And there was one in 2012 out of South Carolina for a federal chartered financial institution crime. And there was one in 2012 out of North Carolina for larceny, breaking and entering. There was one in 2008 out of Cobb County for 2 counts of Schedule 1 controlled substance. And the defendant does have misdemeanor convictions. It's one in 2019 out of North Carolina for uttering forged instruments. And one in 2018 for theft by shoplifting. And one in 2011 out of North Carolina for uttering forged instruments. And one in 2011 out of North Carolina for criminal trespassing. The defendant does appear to have a history of probation violations. It's one in 2021, one in 2020, one in 2019, one in 2018, and one in 2017. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Oliver is 55 years old. He lived at the address on file at the time of his arrest. He's a United States naval veteran, having served 4 years in the United States Navy. From 86 to 89, he was stationed stateside in Florida and San Diego, as well as overseas in Germany and Australia. He has 2 children, a 31-year-old son and a 22-year-old daughter. He also, at the time of his arrest, had a newborn granddaughter. Unfortunately, she's significantly older at this point, and he has not gotten to be involved in her life. He is a high school graduate, graduating in 1986 from high school in North Carolina. At the time of his arrest, he was working at the Dunwoody Perimeter Mall. He does anticipate he'd be able to return to that job, but we haven't been able to get that information yet. I also represent Mr. Oliver in a 3rd open case in Fulton County where there's currently an $11,000 bond. These 2 cases were added from the Solicitor General's office. They were originally misdemeanor warrants that were bound over and upgraded and given CP numbers here in Superior Court. I'm asking the court to grant a signature bond on both of those charges. He's had the $11,000 bond in my other case with him. He's been unable to afford that. That's not on the calendar tonight. That's on the calendar in July. But I've tried to get him into Veterans Court on that case. The representative from the District Attorney's Office declined to take the case pre-indictment, so we're going to have to wait until maybe the case gets indicted to try again. But at this point, Your Honor, with these 2 cases, I'm asking for signature bonds. I still have to continue to work to get the bond in the other case reduced before he actually has a chance of getting out.
All right, what says the state?
The state would request a $4,000 bond on the first case and a $1,000 bond on the second case.
What'd you say on the first case?
4,000.
All right. 2 and 2, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 776 Techwood Drive. No further contact with Andrew, last name DPPE. Stay away from all Georgia Tech campus property. Anything that's Georgia Tech, stay away from it, sir. And then on position 3, $1,000 good bond. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property. Stay away from 649 Techwood Drive, Northwest. No further contact with Michael Davis. Best of luck to you, sir. Jamon Williams. All right. I think that's it for you, Mr. Lang. Have a good evening.
Actually, Your Honor, I'm representing Mr. Williams and Ms. Beckstead tonight.
All right, 23 CP 215450, 145 days without indictment. $5,000 good bond as of March the 6th on dumping biomedical or hazardous waste or substances near for commercial purposes, time 2. Pre-trial.
Defendant has 32 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was February the 7th, 2021, with the Georgia State Patrol Department for criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest. The defendant does have prior felony convictions. One in 1999 out of Fayette County for possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and one in 1997 out of Chatham County for carrying a weapon within a school safety zone, and he does have misdemeanor convictions. One in 2019 for disorderly conduct, 3 counts, and one in 2016 for reckless conduct, and one in 2014 for disorderly conduct, one in 2004 out of Cobb County for a DUI. The defendant does appear to have a history of failure to appears. It's one in 2019, one in 2017, and one in 2016. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Williams is 42 years old. He's lived in Georgia his entire life. The address on file is still a good address for him. He has 2 children, aged 16 and 13, both of whom live here in Georgia. He completed his GED and was working for Staff Zone, doing construction and general cleanup work. He's worked with them for the last 3 years. We do believe there might be some potential MH in this case. I know Ms. Beck notified me that she has looked along with the social worker assigned to her unit to try to find some form of MH treatment program that could be of assistance. They're having a little trouble finding a program that can suit the specific needs, but they are still actively looking. Based on the information presented, 145 days in custody without indictment or progress on this case, I would ask the court to consider a $1,000 bond on each charge.
Go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
We'll agree to that, Your Honor. We'll consent.
500 and 500. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from, he's not gonna live in East Point, right? You gonna live in East Point, sir?
One moment.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? All right, we'll stay away from City Hall in East Point. Best of luck to you, sir.
Now that concludes my business with you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Robert Davis. All right, let's see. 23 CP 2166011, 210 days without indictment, loitering and prowling, giving false information to a law enforcement officer. There is a $1,000 good bond as of March the 9th. Pre-trial.
The defendant has 69 cycles. The defendant's last arrest was July the 18th, 2022 in Fulton County for a probation violation. He does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree. That case number is 15 SC 138570. That disposition date was November the 17th, 2015. Confinement 5 years, probation 5 years. And he does have prior felony convictions. One in 2010 for possession of tools for commission of a crime and felony obstruction. Plus another one in 2010 for burglary, and one in 2007 for theft by taking and entering an automobile with the intent to commit a theft, and criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, and possession of tools for commission of a crime, and one in 2002 for burglary. He does appear to have a history of probation violations. There were 2 in 2022 and 1 in 2021. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Killebrew.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Davis has been in custody for 210 days without an indictment. He does currently have a $1,000 good bond, and that has been the good bond since March 9th of 2023. He is here on misdemeanor charges of loitering and prowling and giving false information. We will be requesting a UJR. He was arrested on November 9th, 2022. He had a status hearing on March 9th, 2023. He did graduate from high school. He is the proud father of 3 children. There is SA issues, and so we're working on getting we've worked on getting him into the PAD program. We're waiting on the acceptance letter, and he does have a valid address where he will be staying, and that is in Fulton County. So again, we're requesting a UJR.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Malcolm.
All right. Is the request for UJR jail or pretrial?
We will be requesting UJR jail, but if you are amenable to UJR pretrial, then we will be accepting that.
Yeah. We would consent to the UJR pretrial.
Okay, both are UJR pretrial level 1. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from all Georgia Tech property and Georgia Tech campus. Stay away from 750 Ferris Drive Northwest. No further contact with Nicholas Bergeron, Bergeron. No further contact with Nicholas Bergeron. Stay away from anything that says Georgia Tech. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my matters for today. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ACDC. And then Christopher Harris is going to be reset, right?
That's correct, Judge.
Thank you, ACDC. All right. Anything you need, Miss Hunter?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You got everything?